Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by your local independently owned home hardware and building center location. Homeowners helping homeowners.
It's a gorgeous day in Toronto and a nice crowd filling into the ballpark to watch the Blue Jays take on the Washington Nationals, who have picked up the wins in the first two games in this series. But you can see not a cloud in the sky as the Blue Jays now take the field. And it's Kyle Drabek with a big assignment. Jose Bautista is one guy, despite the Blue Jays losing the first two games in this series, that is playing really good baseball.
He's one of the top all-round players, I think, in all of baseball. Not just the hitting, but the defense also. Here he makes a grab in the first game and then makes a strong throw. He's got 7 outfield assists. He plays great defense. He brings it every single day defensively. And he's swinging the bat. The hot home run bat from Bautista. Now 18 home runs for Jose and 46 RBIs. He's one of the best at all of baseball, and we get the pleasure of watching him day in and day out.
Much of the last 2 seasons, I felt he was the best all-around player in the game. And now if he can get that offensive side going with the batting average and on-base percentage, he's got it. For the Washington Nationals this afternoon, Davey Johnson will line him up pretty much like we have seen. A little bit of a change. Steve Lombardozzi at the top, followed by Bryce Harper. 6 for 8 in the series. A home run, a couple of RBIs. Very impressive for the rookie. Ryan Zimmerman at third base has been cool with the bat. Michael Morse moves into the 4 spot. Ian Desmond, talented shortstop. Danny Espinosa, switch hitter that plays at second, has hit it well. And we'll get through the rest of that lineup as we get to it.
Kyle Drabek will make his 13th start of the season, 4-6 with a 4.43 earned run average. He has allowed 2 runs or less, 2 earned runs or less in 8 of his 12 starts this season. He has never faced the Nationals until this afternoon. Much better, I think, in his last start against the Atlanta Braves. He threw 5 innings. There were still the walk problems. He had 4 walks. Just gave up 3 earned runs, but did not strike out a batter. Got 10 ground ball outs, something that we'll watch this afternoon if he can get that good sinking fastball and get the Nationals to hit it on the ground.
Everybody is in agreement. Kyle Drabek has terrific stuff, but the Blue Jays have lost his last 3 starts in 7 of his last 9, and this would be a great game for the Blue Jays to get things turned around for Kyle and for the ball club against this very talented Washington Nats club. Pat, we mentioned that the Blue Jays have not been below 500 all season. People don't like to talk about must-wins, but how close does this one come to that?
Well, they're up against it tough against Steven Strasburg. It's early in the... I don't like talking about records now in June. Yep. There's just so much baseball to be played. There's 100 games still to be played after this afternoon. So I don't like to talk about records. Are you improving? That's the main thing. Lombardozzi thinks he fouls that ball off. Home plate umpire, that is Gary Cederstrom. The crew chief says no. Kyle Drabek picks up a strikeout.
So Bryce Harper will stand in against Kyle Drabek, who gets that leadoff strikeout on a couple of off-speed pitches. Bryce Harper, we've mentioned how impressive he's been in the series. This home run last night was maybe at the top of the list.
The bat stays in that hitting zone a very long time for Bryce Harper. Just 19 years old. That was pretty looking swing from the big right fielder.
It's hard to believe in watching Bryce Harper play against these established major league players that he is just a 19-year-old kid.
Well, his mannerisms and the way he carries himself, the way he acts on the baseball field, he's got a little bit of everything. People talk about him being Pete Rose type of player, how hard he plays. I see a little bit more of George Brett in the way he plays, that he comes to play, he plays hard, leaves it all out on the diamond every single time he plays.
Ground ball up the middle, backhanded at second by Johnson, and then he feels the need to immediately jump and throw. He gets Harper. Harper runs well, but I think Kelly Johnson might have overestimated that play initially.
Pretty looking play right there by Johnson. Remember, he's had some leg problems, and he knows that he's got to be a little bit quick with Harper running. Beautiful play by Johnson, the backhand and then the strong throw from second base to get a very hot hitter.
Well, Kyle Drabek has done what the Blue Jays pitching staff has found to be extremely difficult here in the series. That's to get Bryce Harper out. And Drabek, through 2 hitters, looks like a sharp pitcher. He finds the strike zone with number 1 here on Zimmerman. And just quickly back to the question about how important today's game is, Pat. It is game number 63. That means counting today's game 100 games to play. But I think a lot of people have made the assessment based on 62 games who the Blue Jays are. Do you think that's fair?
What do you mean?
Well, you play 62 games. You get to this point, you're playing 500. Does that mean that this is no more than a 500 team over the course of the year?
No, I think this is a better team than what their record has shown. They've lost a couple of games late in one-run games. They're 3-11, and they've lost some games that I thought they should have run. So I think it's a better team.
Just 9 pitches on the inning for Kyle Drabek to get through the first inning against these Washington Nationals. Very impressive as he heads to the dugout. The DL and decisions to be made about the pitching staff. And so the skipper will be watching intently here this afternoon. The Blue Jays will line him up with Brett Lawrie, Colby Rasmus in those top spots once again. Guys that have gotten it done well. Jose Bautista has been swinging the big power bat. Edwin Encarnacion trying to get it hot again. David Cooper, Yunel Escobar, Kelly Johnson, J.P. Arencibia, and Rajai Davis to round out that lineup.
Well, this is the guy that we have been anticipating to watch in this whole series, Steven Strasburg. Everybody has talked about him all season long. Great number, 7-1 with a 241 earned run average. That's the 7th best in the National League. 215 batters are hitting against him. That's the 9th best in the National League. He's got power stuff as he gets ready to make his first career start versus the Toronto Blue Jays. He was the NL Pitcher of the Month for April when he went 2-0 with a 1.13 ERA in 5 starts. We have heard so much about him over the last couple of years. And you watch him on television, his stuff is electric, and now we get to watch him firsthand. And a lot of excitement, I think, in the ballpark.
23 years of age, Steven Strasburg out of San Diego State, #1 pick of the draft in 2009. This is just his 30th Major League start, and yet a lot of people regard him as possibly as tough a pitcher as there is in all of the major leagues. Brett Lawrie leads it off. And let's talk back just quickly to Kyle Drabek in that top of the first inning and how sharp he was.
Well, that looked pretty good. They had made a couple of adjustments, and we'll talk about that next inning. But just 9 pitches to get through the first inning. That's the kind of stuff that he possesses.
Does he rise to the day with Strasburg on the hill on the other side?
I say yes. Yeah. You know, as a starting pitcher, when you're matched up against somebody who is very good, you know runs are going to be at a premium, so your game gets raised just a little bit higher.
It looked like a changeup from Strasburg. He's got all the pitches, and he's got an over-the-top curveball that is just put away style.
Right over the top. It's a hard late breaker with a lot of movement, a good changeup, 3 quality above average pitches that he'll use for strikeouts. You know,
gets the little ground ball, and it's going to be a base hit as Zimmerman came on trying to make the barehanded play. Brett Lawrie, with that speed, has the infield single.
No chance by Zimmerman, the Gold Glover from 2009 at third base to get Brett Lawrie. It's going to be a do-or-die play by Zimmerman at third base. If he comes up with it, yeah, maybe he's got a chance to get Lawrie. But that short hop off the turf, Zimmerman just can't come up with it. It'll be an infield single.
For some of us, swinging bunts were not a good thing. For Brett Lawrie, That'll get him on base just about every time. Colby Rasmus now stands in with that speed of Laurie aboard. And the Blue Jays get a hit quickly against Strasburg. Sinking fastball. Maybe a two-seamer from the big right-hander.
If he can do that, if he can turn it over and go along with that blazer, that's why his numbers are so tough. You mentioned his first 29 career starts. He has reached the 200 strikeout plateau in those 29 starts.
Pretty impressive stuff all across the board when you look at the numbers on Steven Strasburg. On his career, he has yielded in those 29 starts a batting average against of just .212, 9 home runs allowed in 163 innings. We talked yesterday about, for a starting pitcher in the major leagues, if you allow 1 home run every 9-10 innings, you are doing really well. This is 9 home runs in 163 innings.
And how many strikeouts in those 163?
208, so well above 1 per inning.
That's a lot of times where the fielders don't have to touch the baseball.
We mentioned that Strasburg has won 4 in a row. And that last win, that was at Fenway Park, beating the Red Sox. That started this current 5-game winning streak for the Nationals.
And all he did in that game at Fenway Park was punch out 13 Red Sox.
Rasmus down on strikes as he gets the high cheese at 95.
Well, when you've got a couple of different pitches and they're all above average, that you can strike guys out, you're going to do that. This one, the high fastball, Rasmus swings right through it. Strasburg, the 6th pitcher in Major League Baseball to record 200 strikeouts in his first 30 starts.
You like power versus power?
Love it.
That's what this is. Steven Strasburg, we just saw the fastball blown by Colby Rasmus, and now Jose Bautista, who has been slamming it himself of late. 18 home runs, among the leaders. Now 46 RBIs as he hit a 2-run shot last night. 46 ribbies leads the club. Not a good swing. Looked like he maybe anticipated early trying to get a cut on a first pitch fastball and got jammed with it.
A little jam sandwich right there on the inner half.
The front side was wide open, and get a little concerned as that fastball runs up and in. Jose sometimes gets that face turned right into the pitcher. Another big swing here by Jose, trying to make it a quick Blue Jays lead in the first inning.
Even with the power that Strasburg has, they still play him to pull. Look at that. 3 infielders still on the left side. No one basically on the right side. You could roll a ball right through the right side and Laurie could make his all the way to third.
Nice block by the catcher. This afternoon, that's Flores. When you talk home runs in the American League, you're talking at the top. Josh Hamilton with 22. Adam Dunn follows with 21. And boy, is he putting it together. Jose Bautista, Curtis Granderson, and Adam Jones all at 18. So those are your top of the order guys with the dingers.
Just a matter of time before Jose Bautista's name was going to be put in there.
Led the major leagues in home runs each of the last 2 years. Had 31 home runs last year at the All-Star break. Boy, what a first half he put together. Hit over 330.
That was the impressive part about that. His batting average hitting into the break.
Ball hit sharply to short, and a backhanded effort as they'll just get one. That shortstop Desmond got turned around. And that's part of Jose Bautista hitting the ball sharply on the ground.
Well, that would have been an interesting double play because of the shift that we showed you. How the second baseman, instead of coming across the bag, he had to come from the shortstop side to try and make that, and he got spiked, I think, by Brett Laurie at second base. Ball hit hard, and watch the second baseman as he catches it. Laurie goes right into that foot, right around the bag. Desmond didn't creatively get the ball to second base.
Brett Laurie looked like that leg comes up as he makes contact with the foot of the second baseman. Going in there hard, and that's the way the game is supposed to be played. The Blue Jays, in good part, play it that way. Danny Espinosa maybe feeling the effects of that hard slide by Brett Laurie. 2 down with Bautista at first. Encarnacion backs away. A couple of fastballs at 95 now, setting the tone early.
Just getting loose right now in the first inning. And that's something that you've got to do against good pitchers. Get them before they get into that rhythm.
Edwin Encarnacion has been such a big part of what the Blue Jays have done offensively this year. 17 home runs, just back of Jose Bautista, and 44 RBIs. That puts him 5th in the American League in RBIs. Blue Jays have just 3 left-handed bats in there today, and Steven Strasburg has torn right-hand hitters apart. Left-handers have had a bit of a chance. There's that changeup, has a good one as it dives at the last moment. Left-hand hitters have hit .244, and again the Blue Jays with just 3 left-handed bats: Colby Rasmus, David Cooper, and let me see, Kelly Johnson, the 3rd one. Against right-handers, Strasburg has held them to 182 on the season.
Well, if you are guessing fastball, now's the time. 3-1, 2 outs, first inning. Good time to sit all over that heater and see how far you can hit it.
There goes Bautista. The pitch hit foul on the ground left side, and there goes that flying bat from Edwin Encarnacion. He is one of the game's best in that regard.
Well, he turned the fastball over that time. The second time, Alan, that we have seen a two-seam fastball sink down and in. 3-1, and the bat ends up going farther than the ball.
Were you one of those guys, Pat, that in your home, in your apartment, whatever the case may have been during the baseball season, found yourself swinging the bat occasionally?
All the time.
You ever have that happen?
Not when I was imagining looking at in the mirror. No.
Bautista goes again. The pitch again fouled off.
Can't say that I have. Let's take a look at the scouting report quickly for Steven Strasburg, brought to you by Home Hardware. Homeowners helping homeowners. It's the fastball, curve, and change. Basically that 3-pitch mix that Strasburg has. That kid gets you out. Every one of those, they're hitting under 200 to get the changeup and the curveball. He can turn over his fastball, but those 3 pitches are way above average.
Again, Bautista on the move, and the strikeout of Encarnacion, a couple in the inning for Steven Strasburg. And we are on here on the afternoon. 96 on that heater. Steven Strasburg.
His warm-up pitches. Let's take a look at the scouting report for Gray Beck. Fastball 62% of the time. That's down a little bit from last year when he used his fastball about 64% of the time. The cutter has become a very effective pitch for him. He tries to front door and back door to right-handed. changeup 12% of the time, and the curveball, I think, is his best strikeout pitch. Once he learns to start throwing that a little bit more consistently and throwing it for strikes, his strikeout totals are going to go up.
See him throw one in the dirt to start the inning. That the fastball, and that curveball you talk about, which is right over the top and a really good strikeout pitch, as you say, is a pitch that he'll throw in the dirt, sometimes well out in front of home plate.
And it all has to do with his timing on the mound, his windup, and he's made a few changes on his throw day this past week. Blue Jays are really trying to get Kyle Drabek to drop and drive. You've heard that for years about the drop and drive. Stay on that back leg a little bit longer, really drive towards home plate, and use your legs just a little bit more. A little bit like what Drew Hutchison is starting to do. And when you do that, you don't really spin out of your windup like we have seen that Drabek do in the past, that he's just driving towards home, and I think that will help him to stay on time just a little bit better.
Drew Hutchison really saw the velocity numbers rise as he took that upon himself.
This would be a good time right here for a curveball. Mike Morris, the big 6'5" frame up there, so you've got a big strike zone. And you don't have to throw it in there to get these types of hitters. Look at the size of Morris at the plate.
Little looper going to drop in front of Rasmus in center field. Tough pitch out of the strike zone for the base hit. Time now to go inside the numbers, brought to you by the all-new Toyota Camry.
With young pitchers, you're going to have a lot of inconsistency, and that's what we have seen again this year from Kyle Drabek. At times, outstanding. Look at April 10th through the 20th, 3-0 with an ERA of 2, an opponent's batting average of .210, and then it was 0-4 with a 5. Back at it again from May 16th through the 21st, and in a little bit of a rut right now over his last couple of starts. But that's what you'll get with young pitchers. There's that inconsistency to be able to find their slot and to find consistent strikes.
Shortstop Ian Desmond at the plate. Middle infielders for the Nationals have some pretty good pop. We saw last night Manny Espinosa crush one to center field. There's that curveball, just leaves it inside a bit. Ian Desmond in the series 2 for 8. Picked up an RBI in game 1 as the Nats won at 6-3. And now Kyle starting to struggle here in the second inning after a first inning, again, in which he needed just 9 pitches, looked extremely sharp.
Now in the stretch position, so he's going to have to make some mechanical adjustments now. A little bit different out of the windup in the stretch.
When you've got a manager who was a pitcher, you would think you can probably get pieces of information here and there about as consistently as possible.
Well, they are working every day, every throw day that Kyle has. You'll see Bruce Walton down in the bullpen. You'll see Pete Walker, the bullpen coach. At times, John Farrell will go out there and they'll try and make adjustments with his feet, with his hands, with his body, just to help him to get a little bit more consistency. No question that the stuff is there with Kyle Drabek.
Thing is, you get the sense watching him at around 93 miles an hour that he's actually trying to tone it down for the sake of command, because when he's airing it out, he can go 95 plus.
Yeah, I think all you have to do is look to the path that Brandon Morrow has taken to the big leagues and where it has brought him. Kyle is a lot like Morrow was a couple of years ago. Morrow was max effort. Ball was flying out of the strike zone, and now you watch him pitch, and it's almost like he's taking a walk in the park. He's very calm, he's very deliberate, he's under control, and that's where they're trying to get Kyle Drabek, just to stay a little bit under control. And you talk with Bruce Walton and you ask him how are the sides going for Kyle Drabek. He says when he's about 85–90%, the ball really explodes out of his hand.
And they say in the bullpen he just puts it on the money. Runner goes, it's ball 4. So runners at first and second to start this second inning. When you talk about pitchers and walk totals on the year, Kyle Drabek is in an unenviable position. Most walks issued on the course of the season in the AL.
Didn't start out that way for him. He had 3 walks his first game, and then just 1 walk in his second game of the season as he pitched into the 8th inning. And now the fewest walks he's had since then was just 2 in a game.
Second baseman Danny Espinosa. He's a switch hitter. We talked about some of the numbers on him as he homered last night very impressively, also doubling over Rajai Davis in left field. And Drabek continues with the struggles now here in the 2nd inning.
There are the numbers for Espinosa over the last 11 games. Home run and 6 RBIs. He does strike out a lot, though. So a couple of things here in Kyle Drabek's favor. He gets a lot of ground ball outs, and he's got one of the highest ground ball percentages in the American League. And Espinosa strikes out a lot. So if you make pitches, you can certainly help yourself.
In terms of strikeouts, Espinosa is right in that neighborhood with Kelly Johnson. 74 strikeouts on the season. He's a much better hitter average-wise from the other side of the plate. Drabek falls behind quickly, 2-0. And batting from the left side, even with a couple of hits last night, hitting 192 on the season. But we're watching him last night. I would never guess that.
21 home runs last year, so he's got plenty of pop in that bat.
Ground ball, fair ball, diving stop, Encarnacion. He'll get the out himself. The other runners move up. Morse to third, Desmond into second base. A terrific play by Edwin Encarnacion.
Boy, he has just saved 1, possibly 2 runs with that play at first base. It's hit to his glove side, so that certainly helps, but he gets a good jump on it, flags it down, and then decides to take him himself. So anytime a first baseman can make that play by himself, eliminate the throw to the pitcher. Encarnacion saved a couple of runs right there.
I always teach first basemen that once they glove a ground ball, take a couple of steps hard toward the bag. Then if you need to, feed to your pitcher covering. Edwin took that just full determination right away. I've got this. So infield draws in, runners at second and third with 1 out, and that's a bit unusual. Drabek misses away. Oftentimes when you have that runner at second and third scenario, you're unwilling to see a ball go through the infield and give up 2 runs.
Might that have something to do with who's pitching for Washington?
I think that is exactly what this is all about. The anticipation that Steven Strasburg is not going to give up many. Popped up. Can Edwin get there? It lands a row back. Had Edwin gotten there, we've seen him go into the seats this year to make this play.
And Mike Morris, the runner at third base, was anticipating a catch. He was trying to tag up. He was going to try and score if Encarnacion caught that ball.
Get that infielder tumbling into the seats, and it's a golden chance to be able to tag up and score. Here's Steven Strasburg, and very impressive already here this afternoon. A couple of strikeouts. Well, Drabek is hitting that outside corner very nicely now on Tyler Moore. Big first baseman out of Mississippi State. Moore got a chance to play in the 3 games at Boston against the Red Sox. Had 3 hits in that series. First time we've seen him here in this 3-game set. That was that strikeout curveball from Drabek in the dirt, and Moore just simply laid off.
That's another thing that we have noticed in these 3 games with the Washington Nationals. They've got great strike zone awareness. All of their batters.
Drabek tries to find that outside corner again.
All very quiet at the plate. Not a whole lot of excess movement. Putting the ball in play.
You know, watching Bryce Harper, he has some movement with his hands. It's upward, which keeps him above the baseball, but his head stays right on the ball.
Right on the way of that shot yesterday of his head staying on that baseball.
Pitch on the outside edge, hit in the air to left center field. Long run, Rasmus. He won't get there. One hop up and over the wall. A two-run double for Tyler Moore. And the Nats jump on top by a pair.
Davey Johnson electing to give Adam LaRoche the afternoon off. One of their more productive hitters at first base, and they put in Tyler Moore, and he delivers right away. Not a bad pitch, down and away. That's called plate coverage right there. The ability to go out and get that cutter on the outside corner and then hook it into the gap in left center field with some power.
Brings up Rick Ankiel, the powerful center fielder. By the way, for Tyler Moore, his second career double this his rookie season, and his first 2 major league RBIs with this drive.
There you go. Get a chance to play, do something, and help your team.
Well, what a play by Aaron Sevilla as he blocks a pitch that bounced well out in front of home plate. And it looks like Drabek is starting to feel some of that frustration that sets in. It's just a great effort. You see the quiet glove, and that's one of the things that I felt I saw in Blue Jays catching the last couple of years. The glove was trying to catch the ball a lot rather than just staying down and quiet.
And use your body just a little bit more when you're trying to block those balls in the dirt.
Well, you try it sometimes. If somebody bounces a ball to you, try not to use your hands. And then you see that the body becomes the focus in terms of getting in front.
Alan, I did that every time I played third base. I never used my hands.
I'm not buying that story at all.
37 errors. Come on.
Give a man a break. Fly ball into right center field. Bautista's there. That great arm will keep the runner at second base. And that throw comes in cuttable. And that's one thing you see with the Jose Bautista throws. He'll keep it cuttable whenever there's a chance for somebody to advance. In this case, really that wasn't the case, but that's a Jose Bautista throw.
7 outfield assists. Moore is thinking about it and then said, you know what, I'm already in scoring position. I'm not going to get thrown out.
Talking to one of the Nationals coaches the other day, and he said, I knew Bautista threw well. I didn't know he threw like this. 9-hitter at the plate, Jesus Flores. Washington Nationals, first place in the National League East, a tough division. And they lead it by 4 games. They jump on top 2-0. Drabek doesn't have the great velocity here this afternoon. You bring it at 92 miles an hour, as that pitch was, and leave it up. A lot of times major league hitters will get to that.
Yeah, you better sink that ball just a little bit more. We've seen him touch 96, 97 miles an hour with his fastball.
There's the curveball. Kyle trying to get the feel of that pitch. Mentioned that National League East and Washington on top by 4 games. That's a tough division, Pat.
Oh, certainly. The Nationals, Braves, I think that's going to be the 2 teams when it's all said and done. We haven't seen the best from the Marlins yet this year. They haven't gotten on track. Mets playing 4 games over 500. I didn't see that coming from them.
Curveball just getting a piece as Flores. Do the Phillies have enough offensively to get themselves back in?
Not unless Ryan Howard, Chase Utley come back. I don't believe they do.
You know, you've got an already aging ball club, Jimmy Rollins and Shane Victorino, and they're still good players, but you need those other 2 bats, which have been really the key through the years. Ball hit back past the mound, backhanded by Johnson, throws on the move, and dug out by Encarnacion. What a play on both ends, Kelly Johnson and Edwin Encarnacion, and that'll hold the Nationals to 2 runs in the 2nd inning. If this ball gets through, the Nats pick up another. Watch Kelly Johnson all the way. Terrific defense being played early. Lots of school kids with us here today. Just a gorgeous day and filling in nicely at the Rogers Center. The kids having a great chance to come out and see the ball game. And fans, the next Junior J Saturday is this Saturday with the Phillies in town. Take advantage of special kids price tickets in the 200 and 500 level outfield seats. After the game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. For tickets, call 416-341-1234 or online at BlueJays.com. You can also pick up tickets at most Rogers Plus locations. There's a youngster with some dreams of being a big league ball player. Steven Strasburg has made himself one of the best very quickly in the big leagues. He'll face David Cooper, Yunel Escobar, and Kelly Johnson here in the second inning. Two-run double by Tyler Moore. First 2 RBIs in the big leagues give the Nats the lead. Oh, there's that inside edge. Better not take him close here on Steven Strasburg.
In and out, up and down with that fastball. Good curveball. He was in college at San Diego State, and I worried about him. You know how they are in college, Alan, how they really pitch you a lot. There's another changeup for another strikeout. And I said, gosh, here's a guy in college. He's probably going to be the #1 pitcher in the draft. He's going to get blown out in college. Well, Tony Gwynn was his coach in college. He knows a little something about pitching and how to protect him. He didn't overdo it, but still, his first year in the big leagues, he had to have Tommy John surgery.
Well, he started with a bang when he came to the big leagues. He was ready. And I think major league hitters thought, yeah, show me what you got. Well, he showed them. There's a curveball that'll back Escobar right out of there. The thing about Strasburg, we all hear about the great fastball, and he has it. But his curveball and changeup, each strikeout pitches.
Yeah, David Cooper found that out right there with a 2-strike changeup, down and away. And then Yunel Escobar ducks away from that first pitch curveball.
You can just imagine what's going through Yunel's mind. You wait on deck, you wait in the dugout, and you think, okay, here's what I'm going to get when I step to the plate, and I'm going to hit it hard early. And then he bends that hammer on you. You back out. Then he comes back with a fastball on the outside corner. Now what are you going to get?
You're guessing at this point. Again, not a lot of history between these two teams.
Well, Strasburg decides to try to come in with the fastball. Really didn't get it in that position, but that high heater can be a big strikeout pitch as well. The only team to beat Strasburg this year, the San Diego Padres, May 15th. High fastball is popped up shallow and right. That's the play of Bryce Harper. Uses the glasses and makes the play.
Well, it's been a big start to this month for Steven Strasburg. That 13 innings pitched, just 2 walks and 22 strikeouts this month. Warming up along with the weather is Strasburg. Yeah, he beat Boston his last time out, 6 innings. He had 13 strikeouts. He also beat the Atlanta Braves with 7 innings and 9 strikeouts. 2 pretty decent hitting clubs.
Mentioned that last outing of Steven Strasburg beating the Red Sox at Fenway Park, starting this 5-game winning streak for these Washington Nationals. And we also mentioned that Strasburg struck out 13 in just 6 innings in that game. With the 13 strikeouts, he became the youngest pitcher to strike out at least 13 at Fenway Park since Roger Clemens struck out 20 against Seattle back in 1986.
I remember that game.
Got to. That was really kind of Roger Clemens coming on the national scene.
There's that last start on Friday. 2 walks and 13 punch-outs in 6 innings.
Averages over 11.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. And the curveball, you're fortunate to get a piece on that pitch. You know, you talk about all these stats and things that Strasburg has already put together on the big league scene. Again, just his 30th major league start. But I think as a manager, you try to warn your players not to worry about all these things that you've been hearing about.
Just go out there and play. Just go out, play the game. Yeah, the stats will take care of themselves.
Strasburg, like everybody else, is throwing a baseball. You just turn your dial to the appropriate setting and try to make things work. Little looper going to drop in left field for a base hit. Second hit for the Blue Jays. And Kelly Johnson with that left-handed bat does what some left-hand hitters have been able to do, hitting over 240 against Strasburg on the season.
Take the ball the other way. Tried to get Kelly Johnson to swing through that high fastball, just doesn't get it up high enough, and Johnson just uses his hands and punches it the other way.
It's funny, Kelly Johnson is a guy that strikes out a load. He has the second most strikeouts in the American League, and you figure facing Strasburg, that probably portends a number of strikeouts, and yet Kelly picks up a base hit in his first at bat. Guess who leads the American League in strikeouts?
Well, my first thought is Adam Dunn.
Well, your first thought is right on the money. Kelly Johnson, who has struck out 76 times, is behind Adam Dunn, who has struck out 98 times. 98
already.
216 at bats, but keep in mind 21 dingers mixed in.
Would you trade the strikeouts for that production? I would. Take 21 home runs.
Oh, and 47 RBIs go along, so certainly you take that. I think a lot of people become overly concerned about strikeouts. You stay out of double play ground ball opportunities with that. Yeah, if you're producing, it's fine.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Aaron Sebia hitting 227. Boy, that is well placed, and you hope that when that coin comes down with the flip, the home plate umpire sees the one that says ball. Runner goes, the pitch is fouled back. So the Blue Jays have put runners in motion a few times already on the afternoon. And when you look at the numbers on Steven Strasburg, he is susceptible to the running game. He's allowed 7 stolen bases in 8 tries, and John Farrell knows those numbers very well.
You know what you can't do against Steven Strasburg is just lay back.
Yeah.
I think you've got to make something happen.
Well, we talked about the low home run totals against him. So you're not going to get many of those big swings. Again, Johnson on the move, and again, the pitch is fouled back.
You're not going to sit back and just have it handed to you. Tough to string 3 hits together against a guy like this. You've got to be able to manufacture some run by using your legs and using an aggressive style at the plate and on the bases.
Yeah, you hope you pick up a run here and there.
Yeah, you have to, again, because you're not going to manufacture it by getting 3 or 4 straight hits.
So with that 3-2 count and 2 outs, Johnson continues on the move. Aaron Sebia is wearing him out.
He has fouled off 3 straight fastballs from Strasburg. You getting that timing down?
Off speed gets the strikeout. 4th already on the afternoon. So 2 in each of the first 2 innings for Steven Strasburg. And he is pitching as the billing said he might coming in. 2-0 Nats. 10th, less than a month from now in Kansas City. Vote for your favorite Blue Jays players, including Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion, Yunel Escobar, and Brett Lawrie. Cast your vote at BlueJays.com. Fans, by the way, are allowed to vote a maximum of 25 times per email address. So vote early and vote often. 2-0 Nationals. It's a gorgeous day with the roof open here at the Rogers Center. 2-run double in the second inning by first baseman Tyler Moore as he picked up his first 2 Major League RBIs. Kyle Drabek, a sharp first inning and struggled a bit in the second. Leadoff man Steve Lombardozzi at the plate. Hits it in the air, shallow in left field. Rajay started back a bit as he moves over and makes the play, and now number 1. Lombardozzi 0 for 2 in his afternoon. Brings up Bryce Harper. It has at times here in this series been the Bryce Harper show. Talk about those number 1 picks. You can get them back-to-back years and get players like this, Steven Strasburg and Bryce Harper.
Yeah, this is a team, the Washington Nationals, who really struggled when they moved to Washington from Montreal. And the good news about that is,
as Harper makes it his showtime once again, drilling one down the right field side, extra bases. He'll stop at second base. A 1-out double. Bryce Harper just continues to tear it up, hitting .309 now as a 19-year-old.
Yeah, and that first pitch from Kyle Drabek, he was sitting and waiting for it, looking for that fastball, getting it, and ripping it into right field. But to finish that story, the good news is you have the number 1 pick 2 years in a row. And the better news, you've got 2 studs who are heads and shoulders above everybody else in the draft, and Steven Strasburg and Bryce Harper. And there you go. There's your building of the foundation of your ball club. Throw in a Drew Storen, who was a high draft pick, and Ryan Zimmerman, who was a very high draft pick, I believe number 4 overall. And you've got the makings of a first-place club.
It's a great way to do it, but in the meantime, it means you're finishing at the bottom of the heap year after year. Can you take that? Are you willing to take that to get those types of players? Well, and then there's no guarantee you get that type of player. That's
the luck of the draw. What that was all about, that they had the worst record in baseball, and for 2 years in a row they had the number 1 pick, and there wasn't a guy who was a so talented who never makes it to the big leagues, and that's happened before with the number 1 overall pick. They don't even make it to the big leagues, but they've had guys who are clear-cut number 1, hands-down star waiting in the waiting in Harper and Strasburg. And there's been other teams who've had all those high draft picks and don't have anything to show for it. You know, give the Washington Nationals some credit in their scouting department.
Nice job by Aaron Sevilla. Tough question. If those 2 guys had wound up in the same draft, and you got a chance of choosing a high school hitter or a college proven pitcher, where might you turn?
Well, a couple of years ago I would have said that dominant starter, but we had Pat Gillick on the show last year, and I asked him that same type of question. Would you take an everyday player or would you take a starting pitcher? And he said, I'd take an everyday player because I get to use him every day. A starter like that, you get him 32 times and that's it. But an everyday player, you have a chance to use him for 162 games. So I think I'd take the everyday guy.
Remember a number of years back, the Florida Marlins and Red Sox hooked up on a big trade. Hanley Ramirez, the shortstop, youngster, Josh Beckett, the pitcher. And it worked out very well for both teams. It's not to say that one team got burned on that one by any means. Ground ball hit to third. Tough play, and it gets by Brett Lawrie off the glove. Harper had to hold and now comes on to find himself at third base. This is not an easy play, that in-between hop for the third baseman.
Well, you've also got the sun beating down on the turf, and it makes it very springy, very spongy. Lawrie goes over. The ball looked like it was going to hit a seam at that third base area and bounces off the heel of his glove. Right there, just off the heel of the glove, down the left field line, and allows Harper to move to third base.
So runners at first and third for the Nats. Back-to-back hits. Cleanup man Mike Morse at the plate. He had a base hit and scored in the second inning as a big rip comes up empty. When you're going really well, and the Nationals have won 5 in a row. Overall, they're 4 games out in front of the National League East. They're 14 games over 500. You tend to get this type of play that goes your way.
I always say good teams make their own breaks. Bad teams don't get any breaks. And you've got to have good players to be able to do that.
I always felt like when I played on some ball clubs that were playing well, that when you look back, you had to be honest and say, we caught some breaks in this period of time. And other times when it's the same ball club and you look at it and you try to be realistic, you feel like, well, this is just one of those times. Line drives are going at players. And I agree, when 162 games have been played, you're not going to have been so lucky that the San Diego Padres are going to win this year. But, and that's no slam on the Padres, they just happen to be in that place right now. But when you find those spells where you pick up some wins in streaks, I think the breaks do tend to go your way.
And I think that all has to do with having good players. If you have good players, they do good things. They help you win ball games.
Talk the game's top young players. Look right there. Brett Lawrie and Bryce Harper. Wonder if they've had any private conversations in the series.
Well, they had a chance the other day, but Bautista threw out Harper at third base.
They met each other rather strongly. Harper came in sliding hard, and legally Brett Lawrie made a tag, and shoulder of Harper caught the face of Lawrie. Lawrie said he was seeing stars at that point.
Seeing stars for the rest of the game when he got smoked by that shoulder.
We've been seeing stars here in this series.
Here's the play that we were just talking about. Watch Bryce Harper as he goes into third. Brett Lawrie goes to tag him, and he gets smoked right in the jaw.
Yeah. Harper looked to me like he was trying to make that turn back to the bag. Pitch is fouled, and that eats up Aaron Sevilla. Over the course of a season, a catcher will take these on the thighs, on the hands, on the arms, and they add up. But I'd have to say, even though Harper was out on that play, when it was all said and done, it was probably Brett Lawrie saying, wow, that kid's tough.
He's a rock, too. Kudos for Brett for sticking that nose right in there and making that play.
2-0 Nats here in the third inning. Kyle Drabek, a 9-pitch first inning, but it has not gone easily since. There's another youngster that if he could find it and put it together could be a guy everybody's talking about. Ground ball left side, could be 2. Johnson turns it and they get it handily. 6-4-3 as Morse grounds into the twin killing, and that'll do it for the Nats in the third. Had a couple of hits, but they failed to score. Yunel Escobar gets that double play started. enjoying those big comfy green chairs in the TD Comfort Zone are the guests of TD. The TD Comfort Zone, courtesy of TD. It's a 2-0 Washington lead as we go to the bottom of the third. Steven Strasburg has struck out 4 through the first 2 innings. Rajai Davis gets his first shot at it.
These are the kind of days I wish I had the speed that Rajai Davis has. When you're facing these types of pitchers where you could maybe get a ball on the ground or bunt a ball and pick up an infield single.
Got to tell you, Tabby, I never had a day in my life where I didn't have that wish.
I know. You and me both. Certainly would have hit for a higher average.
Rajai getting a chance to play, but struggling of late. Here, not so much as he gaps one to right center field. One hop up against the wall. He's going to go for 3. Here comes the relay on that home plate side of third base. Rajai Davis with the leadoff triple.
Pitchers think that they can climb the ladder on Rajai Davis and get strikeouts. Strasburg goes upstairs. Rajai drops the head of the bat on the ball and hits it into the gap in right field. Now, in this ballpark, when it hits that auxiliary scoreboard, it doesn't come back to it. It hits off the board and drops straight down. Outfielder's not real sure of that, and so that allows Davis the extra few steps to make the third.
That's the second triple on the year for Rajai Davis. And now back to the top with Brett Lawrie, who has one of the 3 hits against Strasburg. He grounds one to short, but that's going to pick up a run as Desmond throws him out. RBI ground out for Brett Lawrie, and now a 2-1 game.
Now to play the infield back and just concentrate on keeping the ball in the middle of the diamond and get yourself an easy RBI. Good at bat right there by Brett Lawrie.
25th ribby for Lawrie. So that leadoff triple pays dividends right away. And we talked about, Pat, the need to be able to pick up a run here and a run there against a guy like Strasburg, who's not likely to have many big innings against him.
Goes hidden 90 feet. Okay, as you make your way around the bases, Rajai Davis's speed allows him to go from second to third, where a guy with just average speed would have been at second. The ground ball by Lawrie. He's at third base now.
There's the changeup, and the Blue Jays hitters have really had no chance on that pitch here this afternoon.
How do you sit on it? You can't.
Well, I don't think there's any possibility.
Yeah, you can't sit on it because his fastball's too good and his curveball's too good.
Colby been flexing of late, 9 dingers on the year. He's driven in 29. There's the change again, and it's really no contest. Watching that changeup leave hitters out in front.
Throws it with great arm speed. Right out of the same slot as his fastball. There's the grip. Looks like the circle change, and that ball's going to dive down and away from the lefties.
For you young kids trying to learn to throw a changeup, get a grip that you trust and throw it as hard as you can. You want arm speed. That's what sets up a changeup. Jose Bautista comes up with 2 outs and the base is empty. Jose reached on a fielder's choice in the first inning. There's the 1-0 change. Really not taking much off of it either.
There's an example again of Rajai being able to go from second to third. The ground ball would have got him to third in the strikeout. He'd still be sitting there with 2 outs.
High drive to left field. Back at the wall. Watch it. It's gone. And the Blue Jays have caught him at 2 on Jose Bautista's 19th long ball of the year. Jose Bautista has not been hitting for batting average, but boy, he's made up for it in that power category, driving in runs.
Looked like the home run he hit last night from Chien-Ming Wang, a ball that was up and in.
Ground ball hit to Desmond's backhand side. Throw low and dug out nicely by Moore at first base as Encarnacion grounds out. But the Blue Jays get back even here in the third inning. Leadoff triple Rajai Davis, and then it's all about Jose Bautista and those big-time muscles. Include Jose Bautista, who's now all alone in third place.
And moving up very quickly. The month of June has been a big month for Jose. That was his 7th home run that he has hit in 12 hits. He's had 12 hits in the month of June, 7 of them for home runs. And he is catching up very quickly to Josh Hamilton.
And the home run allowed by Steven Strasburg, just the 5th that he has yielded this year in 74 innings of work. So impressive stuff by Jose Bautista. We're tied at 2. Ian Desmond leads it off here in the 4th inning for the Nats. And Kyle Drabek back even in the ballgame. Desmond drew a walk and scored. That in the 2nd inning. 2-run double with 1 out by Tyler Moore, who just gets a chance to play the rookie at first base this afternoon. Pitch hit in the air toward left center field and deep. Rasmus going back. He's right at the edge of the track and makes the catch. So Colby had a long way to go, but those long legs get him there.
He was shading Desmond to right center field, not thinking that he was going to pull Kyle Drabek. Now at the top of your screen how far he has to come. I mean, that's a great description. Those long legs takes him and he chews up a lot of ground.
He's one of those lopers, isn't he? Just kind of gathering more ground than you anticipate.
Doesn't look like he's running hard or fast, but he certainly is.
He's got that very laid-back personality, and the running style kind of matches. Danny Espinosa stands in, grounds one through the right side, so a base hit with 1 out. Espinosa 1 for 2 on his day.
Want a better tasting burger? Then step up to the plate for a sirloin Uncle Burger at A&W. Made with 5 ounces of juicy sirloin, it's a taste of burger bliss.
Rookie first baseman Tyler Moore with a 2-run double in the 2nd inning standing in. Swing and a miss from the right-hand hitter. It has already been interesting this afternoon, a pitching matchup of youngsters, Kyle Drabek and Steven Strasburg. Strasburg, winner of 4 straight, starting a 5-game winning streak for the Nationals. He is the talk of the baseball world when you talk about pitching, and of course Bryce Harper is the talk of the baseball world with young players. Red Laurie would be in that conversation as well, no doubt. And we've seen Jose Bautista slam a home run.
We were talking before the game about paying to watch a guy play.
Yeah.
We might have 3, maybe 4 players playing this afternoon who
easily
you and I would pay money to go watch.
Drabek just holds onto it. Well, the list is pretty easy here this afternoon, and you can start with the Washington Nationals and the two youngsters that are so heralded and deserve every bit that they're getting.
I'd pay money to watch Steven Strasburg pitch in person. Sit behind home plate and listen to that ball coming in.
Here's a drive to left field. Davis going back. He watches. It's gone. So Tyler Moore has picked up 2 more RBIs, now has 4 on his major league career as he is doubled and homered to give the Nats a 4-2 lead.
Well, he picked up his first big league RBI his last time up. And this is going to be his first big league home run. Looked like a front door cutter. It stayed over the middle of the plate with a nice swing. It's a line drive right over the bullpen in left center field. And the Nationals get those 2 runs right back.
Well, the Blue Jays, who pick up 2 in the bottom of the 3rd inning, have the Nats respond right away, and that's what good teams tend to do. Here's a ball hit back up the middle. Base hit for Rick Ankiel. 3 straight hits for the Nats, all coming with 1 out.
Tyler Moore was named their minor league player of the year in the Carolina League. The guy hit 31 home runs 2 years ago, and then 31 home runs again last year in Harrisburg. So he's got plenty of pop in that bat, showing it off this afternoon.
We've already got Adam LaRoche, who plays first base brilliantly and has been swinging a powerful bat, and now Tyler Moore making a bid to be one of the guys to get some playing time. Good breaking ball for a called strike. Each team with a long ball on the afternoon. Jose Bautista's 19th, and now Tyler Moore. Catcher Jesus Flores 0 for 1. Took a terrific play by Kelly Johnson, teaming up with Encarnacion to end the 2nd inning. How much can the Blue Jays get out of Kyle Drabek this afternoon? Line shot's going to go foul. No, the Nats are not getting fooled on the Drabek pitches here in the 4th inning.
He has averaged about 6 innings or so for this season. John Farrell certainly would take that and more, matching up against Steven Strasburg. Already 65 pitches now in the 4th inning. So that will be tough to get him 7 or 8 innings this afternoon.
A ball and 2 strikes on Flores.
Did not have a strikeout in his last start against the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah. Odd when you have the stuff of Kyle Drabek that would happen. And like you already said, you felt like it was a better effort by Kyle.
A little bit more consistency, I thought. Just 1 strikeout here this afternoon, just the first batter that he faced.
Henderson Alvarez has a lot of people concerned because he hasn't been striking many hitters out. Tries to come off speed but doesn't get the swing. It's kind of an interesting set position by Kyle. He has a 2-3 spots in there where you could almost say, well, was that the stop? Well, where is the stop? And then he finally sets it.
They've been trying to get him to stand a little bit taller on the mound and get his feet a little bit closer together. At times he drifts towards home plate. There's the stop right there.
Let's see if we can watch that again, because there are 2 spots prior to the actual stop where I could say, well, that looks like it's officially a stop. Taking his time getting the sign. 1, 2, 3. Runner goes. Ball 4 is delivered. And now a fourth hitter reaches here in this fourth inning. Runners at first and second for the leadoff man, Lombardozzi. Blue Jays staff has been struggling of late. The starting staff had been doing quite well, but again here recently, tough times.
Look at on May 19th, they have won 19 games, 19-12. This is just the starters now for the Blue Jays with a .333 earned run average, all very good numbers. But since then, they've gone 7-9 with a 5.5 ERA. Opponents batting average up, and the whip, I think, really good indication of how you are pitching. That's walks and hits divided by innings pitched, just a little bit too high at 1.4.
That whip will tell you a lot about what a pitcher is doing, how hitters are dealing with it. See Kyle's body just go flying off on that first base side, and a lot of times what people believe is that creates that sweeping arm angle coming across toward the plate.
Yeah, tough for your arm to catch up, and you want to have a downward plane with the baseball.
Ball not hit all that hard as it's fouled to the seats.
Another good athlete, Lombardozzi, that the Washington Nationals have. He was a second baseman in the minor leagues. Actually won a Gold Glove last year in the minor leagues, and they have him playing the outfield now. Could play every position, I bet, on the diamond because he's such a good athlete.
Lombardozzi with an on-base percentage right under the .350 mark. If you wonder about what is average around the American League, and the American League is a bit higher than the National League. In terms of on-base percentage, .320 is the average this season, just a couple of points above the National. 2-2 the count. So when you have that leadoff man with about a .350 on-base percentage, you're on the plus side, a guy that can run well.
Yeah, a guy who can steal some bases. You got a couple of guys up there with on-base percentages over .350. It creates a lot of RBI opportunities for your best hitters.
Lombardozzi fouling him off. When you talk about the Blue Jays in that leadoff spot, of course, it's been Brett Lawrie and Colby Rasmus at the top here just recently. Brett Lawrie at .329 in terms of his on-base percentage. It's been rising of late, and his speed, if he could get on base a nice rate, really would help the ball club.
Speed and energy to help create runs.
Pesky is what Lombardozzi is being here in the fourth. 2 runs in, pair of runners on base. For Kyle Drabek, that's 75 pitches now here in the fourth inning total. Waiting on deck. Who else? Bryce Harper. 1 for 2 on his afternoon today. Ringing double down the right field side. 6 previous hits in the series in the 2 games. Now we highlighted Bryce Harper and Steven Strasburg on the pregame show, and rightly so. There's a ground ball. Edwin will throw on to Unell for 1. That's all they'll get. Escobar trying to bluff the throw to first base, see if he could get Ankiel to bite heading toward home plate. Talk about these two guys, Brett Lawrie and Bryce Harper. That's Lawrie last year and Harper this year, and pretty similar, Pat.
They're about the same amount of at-bats for both of these. This was Brett Lawrie last year in 2011 when he came up from the minor leagues at the age of 20. 150 at-bats with a very good on-base plus slugging of .953. This year, Bryce Harper at 19 and 152 at-bats. The OPS about the same. So very similar types of players. They both play the game very hard. And I think they understand the game. And I think really they're stars. They're going to be stars in this game for a long, long time.
Seems evident. Boy, when Lombardozzi hit that ground ball, Blue Jays had to be thinking, I must double play so you don't get Harper to the plate with a couple of runners aboard. Ball hit on the ground, but Kelly Johnson will get there and feed to Escobar for the force out. So they get Harper for a second time on the afternoon for the Nats in the 4th inning. They pick a pair as Tyler Moore slams his first Major League home run against Kyle Drabek. This weekend, bring your non-perishable food items and cash donations to gates 3, 5, 10, and 13, all in support of Food Banks Canada. Mystery bags will also be available for a donation of $25 or more. For tickets, call 416-341-1234. You can do it online at BlueJays.com and at most Rogers Plus locations. It's a 4-2 Washington lead. David Cooper leads it off, followed by Yunel Escobar and Kelly Johnson here in the Blue Jays half of the 4th. Cooper struck out. He learned quickly all about the changeup of Steven Strasburg in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, a couple of fastballs up at the strike zone, then a changeup to strike him out.
So he gets an early fastball here and a little better strategy. Try to go after it.
Yeah, don't wait around. It's already tough to hit Major League pitching. It makes it even tougher when you're in the hole 0-1 or 0-2.
Cooper hits one on the ground right to the first baseman. Handled easily by Moore, and that's the first out of the inning. So when you look at Steven Strasburg and you see fastballs and changeups, what do they look like for the hitters? Well, from the other angle you can see.
From the left side, the fastball, both out of the same arm angle, and this is about where the hitter starts to determine what type of pitch it is. They both look like the same pitch, but watch as it follows through. The fastball on the left side continues to rise to J.P. Arencibia, and the changeup on the other side goes right underneath the bat. So when you throw as a pitcher out of the same arm slot, the same arm speed, and you've got that type of stuff, and we haven't even talked about the curveball yet from Strasburg, makes it very difficult for the batters to pick the ball up.
Yeah, and I think the curveball, as good as it is for Strasburg, has a bit of a loop in it. And as a hitter, when you're on, you can see that. But you cannot see the difference between the fastball and change.
No, not until it's too late. Not until you've already started your swing. That was a great freeze frame. It showed the same arm slot, the ball just on its way towards home plate. It's in the same spot.
Well, it's identical. One is typically around 95 miles an hour, and one's about 87, 88. So what do they look like if you talk fastball, curveball?
Fastball on the left, curveball on the right. A little bit lower for Mr. Strasburg on the right. That one wasn't very good. He just didn't get the extension and start the ball where you should.
And that's a curveball that really doesn't give you the effective view because it actually started below that of the fastball.
It's again, you've got what, 0.1/10 of a second to determine.
It's rather quick.
A lot of information.
It looks easy on TV and from the seats at the ballpark, but when you step up to home plate, you realize, boy, this is happening kind of quickly.
And then you've got to square up a baseball.
Hit on the ground to shortstop. Desmond has been perfect in the series.
You know, the big strikeout pitchers in the history of the game, they had the great fastball, but they also had the complement of other pitches, and they can throw them for strikes, and they're like Strasburg. They throw them out of the same arm slot, and it's tough to pick up those pitches.
If you faced a guy who had a great fastball, but he couldn't throw the other pitches for strikes, you turn up your dial, lay off everything else, and you can get to the fastball at some point.
Yeah, I don't care how hard you throw. Now, you caught Nolan Ryan. Does Strasburg, in a way, remind you of Nolan Ryan?
It's intriguing because Nolan didn't have a slider, threw the curveball, and late in his career had the changeup. And the changeup is what made him just make hitters say, well, it's no longer fair. And I think Kelly Johnson may have those thoughts right now, trying to swing at that changeup. But yeah, I can see similar type of stuff. Haven't seen Strasburg go high 90s here this afternoon, but we know he can do it.
Yeah, he can reach back for a little bit more if he needs to.
But there's that curveball, and Nolan throughout most of his career would use that as his big strikeout pitch. And as a catcher, you get your workout trying to make sure you kept that in front.
Not necessarily throwing it for a strike.
Right.
Burying it just like that.
Just like that. Sometimes that fastball gets away like that, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, as hitters get a little something to think about, especially if you're a right-hand hitter seeing that.
And you get yourself into hitters counts, you know, instead of 1 and 2, it's now 2 and 2.
Yeah, there's the inside corner picked apart. Kelly Johnson's down. That's 6 strikeouts for Steven Strasburg. And now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Jose Cruz Jr. in the BlackBerry broadcast studio. Last night it was Brett Cecil time.
Just came up from Double-A for his first start in Triple-A this season, and he pitched well. Pitched into the 7th inning. Gave up 3 earned runs, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. So he has been mentioned as a candidate to possibly take over that spot when Brenda Morrow went on the disabled list. Brett Cecil, we've heard Jesse Chavez and Joel Pereño's name mentioned as a possible replacement. But I don't think that's going to come until possibly on Tuesday of next week. With the off day tomorrow, Blue Jays can just slot everybody in their regular spot in the rotation, and then move the 5th starter there. We'll see how they play it.
I think that opinion as to who it might be could change between now and Tuesday?
Well, they've said, the Blue Jays have said, whoever the hottest pitcher is. Meaning, if you go down in the minor leagues and you pitch well, you're going to be a candidate. So certainly it can change between now and next week.
Kyle Drabek has needed 81 pitches to get here, working on his first hitter in the 5th inning, Ryan Zimmerman, as the Nationals lead it 4-2. Drabek has had his troubles, and that means the bullpen gets active. Aaron Laffey, left-hander, just brought up by the Blue Jays, starting to get loose. John Farrell, no doubt, with an eye on that pitch count for Kyle Drabek. Kyle's going to get an out to start things here in the 5th inning as Kelly Johnson shields his eyes from the sun and makes the play. Bring up the cleanup man, the DH, Mike Morse. Pretty tough looking sun that the guys have to deal with, and you could see Johnson battling on that play. But what a gorgeous afternoon.
This is perfect weather for baseball players.
Really couldn't be better.
You don't really sweat too much because it's not that humid or hot. It's cool enough to keep you refreshed throughout the afternoon.
That curveball looked a bit like Strasburg dropping his hook in for some early strikes. Morse 1 for 2 on the afternoon. He's grounded into a double play, also singled and scored. That came in the 2-run 2nd inning. As we watch Drabek struggle with command, and now is Drabek hurt?
That looked exactly like the Brandon Morrow play the other day, and I don't want to say it. I was watching him. He came off the mound. It looked like his spikes caught just a little bit in that dirt area, and he came off the mound awkwardly. And right away, here comes Aaron Laffey. Boy, wow, not good.
That didn't take John Farrell long to decide we're not messing around with this, and probably some of that, if not most of it, precautionary. But you can't have starting pitchers start to go down, and you could see that reaction
with the arm. It looked like the spikes might have caught, and he just couldn't get the arm up.
During the last commercial break, this is what happened as Kyle Drabek called for the trainer to come take a peek at something. And now here's where we stand. So Aaron Laffey will come on, and John Farrell only knows right now, but is it arm? Is it
That's why they got Aaron Laffey up to start this inning, and he went right to him when Kyle fell off the mound.
So Aaron Laffey will talk things over with JP Arancibia, pick it up here in the 5th inning with a 4-2 Washington lead. and try to deal with these injuries now on the Blue Jays staff. We don't know the status of things with Kyle Drabek. What do you see, Pat?
Boy, I saw him falling off, and you see him kind of hold his arm right next to his side. Tells that possibly that it's an arm problem. The spikes hit, and he falls kind of awkwardly. You can see how he's kind of holding that arm next to him.
Aaron Laffey makes a nice play with the glove. He'll underhand to first base to get a quick out on Michael Morse.
But I'm not sure what is wrong with him. We'll just have to wait to hear. But this is the pitching line for Kyle Drabek. 4 to third, 7 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned. A couple of walks and a strikeout. The first batter of the afternoon. Hopefully, it's nothing more than a little bit of a cramp or something like that, where he's got to come out of the ball game.
Not an overly sharp afternoon for Drabek either. Aaron Laffey, in his third stint with the ball club, gets a second hitter to swing on a first pitch and ground out, and that'll do it in the 5th inning. An inning that sees Kyle Drabek have to leave the field with, at this point, an unknown injury. So it's now in the hands of the bullpen of the Blue Jays. Sleep where the Blue Jays play. That's Saturday, July 14th, with the Blue Jays hosting the Indians. A 107 start. Your $100 event ticket includes a 100 level outfield ticket to the Blue Jays and Indians game on that July 14th. Visit bluejays.com/campout for your information. Blue Jays fans looking to see this Blue Jays club offensively get back in the ballgame. Tough assignment against right-hander Steven Strasburg. Kyle Drabek has had to come out of the game, and we'll give you word as soon as we can as to what we find out on that injury. 8-9-1 for the Jays here against Strasburg. Aaron Sebia leads it off. JP struck out in the 2nd inning, and 6 strikeouts on the day for Steven Strasburg. Strasburg just keeps pumping strikes. Before this inning, 13 of his 16 first pitches had been strikes, and now we can make it 14 of 17. A very different day than that had by Kyle Drabek.
And he's got the highest strikeout percentage in the National League. So when he gets ahead of you, he has that ability to finish you off.
Watching his changeup combined with the other 2 pitches, fastball and curveball, I can certainly understand why he's striking out over 11.5 batters per 9 innings. There's another one. 7th on the afternoon. First out here in the 5th inning.
Upstairs with the fastball to JP Arencibia. JP's a very good off-speed hitter, a breaking ball hitter. And that time he goes upstairs with the fastball to pick up the strikeout. His average fastball velocity is the best in baseball. He averages almost 96 miles per hour with his fastball.
Just really cranking it up now as he's hit 97 a couple of times in the inning, including that strikeout on Aaron Sevilla. Rajai Davis got a rally started for the Blue Jays in the third inning as he led off with a three-bagger to right center field, his second triple of the year. He loops one back to second base. That's going to drop for a base hit. So Rajai Davis 2 for 2 on his afternoon against Steven Strasburg. Blue Jays now with 5 hits against the right-hander.
Fighting off a fastball.
Is there a type of hitter you would think logically would have the most success against Strasburg?
Probably somebody with a little speed. So if they, like an Ichiro, somebody like that who slaps at it and doesn't strike out a lot.
Chop something in the infield and beat it out. And
you can run a little bit.
Rajai can certainly run a little bit. Brett Laurie stands in, and Strasburg knows the facts.
Well, his legs got him their first run back in the third inning, turning a gapper into a triple, and then scoring on the ground out by Laurie. So good time to use those legs to get in scoring position.
And he goes, but caught at second base. Rajai Davis just leaving too early. Get a chance to see what happens as he takes that jump too early. The pickoff throw leaves Moore at first base with an easy throw to throw him out. So caught stealing is Rajai Davis. And there goes that threat. 2 down now for Laurie. Now things are certainly going the way of the Nationals. They do have a lot of talent. But Strasburg just picked out that particular time to throw to first as Laurie skies one to right center field. It's Bryce Harper, and why not? He makes all the plays here in the series. An 8-pitch inning for Steven Strasburg. We played 5. It's 4-2. Nats on top. Sportsnet here tonight. It's the Yankees at Atlanta, Ontario, and on Pacific. It's the Red Sox versus Miami, and that'll be on East. And the White Sox at St. Louis on West. And again, great baseball to be had right here on Sportsnet.
In that New York Tampa Bay game. Should be a lot of fun.
Aaron Laffey, the left-hander on, will turn Danny Espinosa around. Laffey got a couple of one-pitch outs as he came on for Kyle Drabek in the 5th inning. And a nice play defensively to get the first man he faced, Michael Morse. Espinosa 1 for 2 on the day. He has scored a run. He scored in the 4th inning on the 2-run home run by Tyler Moore, his first big league dinger. Moore picked up his first 2 RBIs in the big leagues in the 2nd inning as he doubled in a pair. And that's all the Washington runs. The Blue Jays And great defense by Brett Laurie. Oh, my. We'll talk about the guys with some talent. The youngsters. Brett Laurie just makes a gem.
Pickett over there at third base. He's got to play in respecting the speed. And look at that go down. And with those good quick hands. Smashes. Wow, what a play.
He still gets that in between hop, and he has to deal with it while sliding to his right. That is just terrific stuff at third base. Tyler Moore, who has been the offensive man of the day for the Nationals, stands in. Mentioned that Aaron Laffey is in his third stint with the Blue Jays, and yet his first outing today, coming up from Las Vegas AAA on June 1st. Made 11 starts for Las Vegas this year, going 3-5. Picked up a complete game along the way. ERA about the 4.5 mark.
And he's got major league experience. This is his fourth big league season. He spent some time with the Indians, the Yankees, and the Seattle Mariners. Starting a career-high 19 games with the Indians back in 2009.
John Farrell was with the Indians organization at the time and has that background with Aaron Laffey.
Had him come up through their minor league system. Originally signed by the Indians back in 2003.
That's a good looking changeup on a 3-0. Wow.
It's a three-pitch mix basically for Laffey. Fastball, breaking ball, changeup. Doesn't throw very hard. Got to spot all of his pitches.
Leaves that one up a bit. That's likely the fastball at 86 miles an hour left up.
In and out, up and down, change speeds, backwards and forwards. Use your breaking ball. That's what you will get from Aaron Laffey.
Pitched in 5 games for the Blue Jays on the spring, 4 of those starts. And for a while looked like he was going to break with the club.
It was a battle all the way up until the last week of the spring training. Aaron Laffey, Brett Cecil, who was going to win that 4th or 5th spot wherever they would end up slotting him.
And it was Kyle Drabek who entered the mix, and intriguing that Drabek goes down with some kind of injury here this afternoon, and again we'll let you know as soon as we find out. Pitch is hammered to center field. Rasmus going back. He's just watching. This one is gone. Tyler Moore has just hit his 2nd major league home run. 5 RBIs. They're all the first RBIs in the career of Tyler Moore. And now the Nats, or rather Tyler Moore, lead it 5-2 on the afternoon.
Told you he was their minor league player of the year in 2010. 43 doubles, 31 home runs, 111 RBIs. Followed that up with another 31 home runs. So I guess this shouldn't be a surprise as he belts one into the seats in center field. First 2 big league home runs. And we were talking at the beginning of the game. Adam LaRoche, one of their better hitters, more productive hitters, gets the afternoon off. Tyler Moore says, I'm taking advantage of it.
Here's the reality. The Nats are not going to suddenly turn this into a Wally Pipp, Lou Gehrig scenario. Adam LaRoche has been awfully good, and he's earned his stripes. But Tyler Moore has opened himself probably a better look than maybe he had before.
An embarrassment of riches, if you will, of good young players.
I wonder if Wally Pipp is happy about his name coming up so often.
You hear it every year, don't you?
Yep. Strike 3 called on the outside edge as Ankiel's down on strikes. Just the 2nd strikeout for Blue Jays pitching.
Quick work of Ankiel as he cuts that fastball right on the outside corner. Good pitch.
And now the 9-hitter, catcher Jesus Flores. These Nats have had tough times with their catchers trying to stay healthy this year.
They have such a good young catcher in Wilson Ramos, who's going to miss the rest of the season with a torn ligament in his knee. Off to a good start.
Pitch hit on the ground. Laurie's there as he backs up. Good strong arm for Brett, and he'll make the play. That'll do it for the Nats in the 6th, but they pick up another as Tyler Moore slams his 2nd major league home run, having himself a day. In town against the Blue Jays, the first 20,000 fans will receive a Blue Jays replica batting helmet presented by TD. For tickets, call 416-341-1234. Do it online at bluejays.com or at most Rogers Plus locations. Got some fathers with their kids here at the ballpark this afternoon. Watching the Blue Jays trying to get back in this one against the Washington Nationals, who lead it 5-2, 5 RBIs. For rookie first baseman Tyler Moore, slamming his first 2 big league home runs. Jose Bautista has provided the fireworks for the Blue Jays as he hit number 19, a solo job in the 3rd inning.
3 extra base hits for that first baseman. Pretty impressive.
A double to go along with the 2 home runs. 10 total bases on this afternoon. I wonder if Lou Gehrig did that well in the game that he got his start with Wally Pipp going down.
Fire up that computer right there, and I'm sure you can find it out.
I bet Scott Carson could figure that one out. Colby Rasmus stands in.
There he goes.
I don't know. Lou did something right in the next 2,500 games. Rasmus lines one, but foul.
How about, speaking of Lou Gehrig, what Alex Rodriguez did in last night's game in Atlanta?
23 grand slams and tying Lou Gehrig. That's just phenomenal. A line shot that got out to left field.
On the left field line for his career now. 23 grand slams.
Rasmus shows bunt. Strasburg just keeps throwing strikes. Got the Blue Jays quickly in the 5th inning. Right-hander for the Nats. 75 pitches to this point as he works it in the 6th inning. There's that changeup, and the left-hand hitters have just had a miserable time with that pitch.
Let me finish my thought on those grand slams. When Lou Gehrig hit his 23rd home run, he became the new leader of all time. There's another changeup that hurts Rasmus.
8 strikeouts on the afternoon for Steven Strasburg. And you get a peek. Colby Rasmus has 3 of them. Edwin 1. David Cooper has done it once. Aaron Sebia twice. There's Rasmus again. Kelly Johnson has entered the mix. Jose Bautista 1 for 2 on the day. He's hit the ball sharply twice, and one of those a home run, his 19th solo home run in the 3rd inning.
Yikes. 100 strikeouts already by Strasburg.
Gio Gonzalez, the guy the Blue Jays don't have to face here in the series, and he has been a monster for the Nats. Bautista dramatically backing out of there on that pitch that was called a strike. Much better pitch in terms of the strike zone than the pitch on which he hit the home run in the third inning that was up and in. Or am I thinking last night? Jose's been hitting so many home runs of late, it's hard to remember.
They were both about the same.
Yeah.
Chen-Ming Wong had one up and in, and that he turned on, and that one that he hit today was up and in.
Did that get a piece of Jose? Apparently it did. So Bautista reaches on the hit by pitch. Oh, that's ball four. Excuse me, the curveball staying in.
Curveball that just gets away from Steven Strasburg. And it ends up being ball four.
First walk issued by Strasburg on the afternoon. We'll bring up Edwin. Blue Jays need some big swings.
Doesn't give up a lot of home runs. Just 5 of them this year. All 5 of them to right-handed hitters.
Edwin trying to hit one and comes up empty. Encarnacion 0 for 2 on the day with a strikeout. 17 big home runs on the year, 44 RBIs. He's been overtaken in each category now by teammate Jose Bautista. But still a deadly duo in the American League. There's a couple of guys pitchers do not like seeing. Little half swing, try to stop it. Edwin sees the bat go through. In 23 games against the Nationals lifetime, Encarnacion with just 1 home run. Does have 5 doubles against Washington. One out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Great job behind the plate. Flores able to knock it down, but then Bautista sees that Flores can't find the baseball, and Jose takes second. It's a wild pitch.
Down in the ground.
That's a changeup, and sometimes you yank it a little bit. Flores blocked it better than he knew he had blocked it.
It's the second wild pitch that Strasburg has uncorked this year.
There goes Jose as the pitch is fouled back. So Bautista, who stole third base yesterday, has a notion to see if he can put the Blue Jays in a spot where they can pick up another run and draw closer in this game. It's 5-2 Nats on top.
Well, you do that and you get the third base with less than 2 outs. You also get the third baseman abandoning his position and giving Encarnacion a chance to hit a little grounder through the left side.
Well, Blue Jays picked up 1 run on a ground ball out in the game. Edwin skies one to left field. Lombardozzi's right there. Bautista can only go halfway, and now back to the bag on out number 2. So, had Bautista been able to steal third base, that fly ball is a sac fly, picks up a run, and you're only 2 runs down. That's kind of the difference that goes on when you're struggling versus when you're playing well and picking up wins. David Cooper 0 for 2 on the day. He has struck out and grounded out. Ever since David Cooper was removed from the starting lineup, he has struggled to pick up some hits. He loops one shallow into center, but coming on is Ankiel to make the play, and that'll do it for the Blue Jays in the 6th inning. So Bautista stranded at second base, and the Blue Jays trail it 5-2 to that guy, Steven Strasburg. their young right-hander Steven Strasburg, and it looks like maybe a blister scenario.
Yeah, you can see Davy Johnson saying, okay, I don't know if he looked on top or on bottom of his pitching hand. Could be an issue. Nobody warming up yet in the bullpen for the Nationals.
Strasburg worked just 6 innings in picking up the win in his last start at Boston, and he has worked 6 here this afternoon, leading at 5-2. Left-hander Aaron Laffey works now into a 3rd inning. Top of the order for the Nats, Steve Lombardozzi at the plate.
You know, if that is an issue with his finger, we'll keep an eye on that bullpen to see if they get somebody started.
Strasburg looks like a guy who's saying, come on, you kidding me? I'm ready to go.
Give me just one more inning.
Well, we saw Edwin Jackson in the opener here in the series. Looked like he got told 8 innings is enough, and then when it was all said and done, he came out for the 9th inning.
Yeah, talked his way into that last inning.
I have a feeling we've seen the end of Strasburg here on the afternoon.
Well, there's your answer.
Yeah. They'll get it heated up. That right-hander is Craig Stammen.
You know, the Nationals have talked all season long that Steven Strasburg has an innings limit. They're going to limit him to 160 innings this year. Last year, coming off of Tommy John surgery, they want to limit those innings. Next year, they take it all off, and he can go as long as hard as he wants to.
Lombardozzi down on strikes for the 2nd time on the afternoon. Was that the look in the eyes of Steven Strasburg of a young guy who was buying into the conversation?
No.
They were not.
Yeah, he wants to go out there and keep pitching.
It was like, okay, Dad. All right. You say so. $41,667 on hand here, so a good crowd. Well, let's see. What do you think about those eyes? He's listening. Maybe.
Saying nope. I don't agree with that.
Certainly not a belligerent look, but the look of a guy I think every manager wants to have. You want that guy who wants to take the ball and go to the mound. You want this guy as well, Bryce Harper. My goodness, 1 for 3 on the day.
You want that starter who wants to go out there until you yank him off the mound.
Harper has shown us he can hit left-hand pitching. We saw the stats coming in as he was hitting .357 against the lefties. But I believe here in the series, 2 for 2 against southpaws. Back in our day, and I don't know if the guys still say it, this guy can flat rake.
Got a pretty decent understanding, doesn't he?
Yeah. 307 overall, 7 home runs. That number 7, a bomb to right center here last night. Hits one in the air that's going to drop foul. Long run for Rajay Davis, just too much. Well, apparently, Steve McCanny felt that there was need for more of a conversation. And I think a big part of it, Pat, is that the Nats do want to cut down the overall innings on the course of the season for Strasburg.
Well, they're going to be in it all the way to the end.
You have to figure so.
And I'd like to have him in the month of September.
Ground ball to third. Laurie's been making all the plays. Throws low, but Edwin digs it out. Mentioned that Craig Stammen had picked up a baseball, was throwing, so we'll see him come on for the 7th. Unless we see Steven Strasburg go into arm wrestling with Steve McCanny.
And talk him into it. But that's a very tough decision. You've got a very valuable ball player there. Again, coming off Tommy John injury last year, just made 5 starts in the month of September. What's the right decision?
Ground ball is short. Well, the head nod said yes, but the eyes said no. As Escobar throws out Zimmerman, a 1-2-3 seventh, as Aaron Laffey is getting the job done for the Blue Jays. This afternoon winds up working 6 innings and allowing a couple of runs, including a home run to Jose Bautista. Something got him on the right hand. It appeared to be on a finger.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. A blister. Better safe than sorry, so they're going to take him out after 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, and 8 strikeouts and just 1 walk. Took 89 pitches to get through 6 innings. He's everything that was advertised to us. So taking over now out of the bullpen here in the 7th inning, Craig Stammen. We saw Stammen in yesterday's ball game, 3-0 with a 178 earned run average. Fastball, curveball, which is probably his best pitch, and a decent changeup. Good numbers out of the pen.
Yunel Escobar leads it off here in the 7th inning. Post pitch, called a ball. Yunel will be followed by Kelly Johnson and J.P. Arancibia's spots. Yan Gomes is back on the roster for the Blue Jays. Yunel lines one to center. That's a leadoff single here in the 7th.
That has got to feel good when you've got a guy with plus stuff on the mound, and then you go to the bullpen. It's got to feel good. Fastball center cut, base hit. Good start in the 7th inning for the Blue Jays.
Yunel was 0 for 2 on the afternoon and 0 for 10 in the series before this base hit. Kelly Johnson has a base hit in 2 at-bats. He struck out in the 4th inning, one of the 8 on the afternoon picked up by Steven Strasburg. Well, I think for all of us coming into this series, getting to see the Washington Nationals playing so well as a team, we all wanted to see Bryce Harper and Steven Strasburg. You've seen enough to think what?
They're in the playoffs.
Johnson fooled on the off-speed delivery.
It's a long way to go, of course. 100 games still to go for both of these teams. And anything can happen. We touched on that at the beginning of this broadcast, but they're legit.
Yeah,
both of them.
These guys can really deal. Johnson just waves at the off-speed delivery, down on strikes for the 2nd time on the afternoon. Kelly Johnson has had a rough time with the strikeouts.
That's that curveball we were talking about. He throws it for strikes, or he can get hitters to chase it in the dirt. Stammen, and he gets Kelly Johnson chasing that pitch.
That is a right over the top hammer.
2009, they tweaked his arm angle just a little bit. Stammen just got it a little bit further away from his body, and it's really helped his sinker.
J.P. Arancibia 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. Now Stammen fires to first base. Now these Nationals have had more than their share of key injuries, and yet 14 games over 500. The bullpen has been hugely affected.
And it's been a long time since they've been 14 games over 500 in this organization.
Of course, this was originally the Montreal Expos organization.
Last time they were 15 games over 500 back in July of 2005.
Aaron Sevilla gets tagged out going by as that throw was high. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Two down here in the inning. Rajai Davis 2 for 2 on the day. He has tripled and singled, scored a run. There's that curveball again. In terms of ERA around the major leagues, the Washington Nationals are #1. Their starting staff right at the top. Their bullpen right at an even 3 coming in. They just keep pitching well.
Pitching and defense is going to win you a lot of ball games.
They haven't scored as many runs as the Blue Jays on the season, although this series would belie that fact. But the way they pitch and play defense, they are awfully sound. Runner goes, throw down, a good one, but not in time as Escobar steals third base. But with 2 outs, how valuable is this stolen base?
Well, if that curveball's in the dirt and it gets away from Flores, the catcher, it'll be a run. Escobar will pick up his first stolen base of the season as he swipes third base, a walking lead at second, and then a running lead to pick up that first stolen base.
Well, you know, basically saying, if you're going to forget about me, I'll go ahead and take it.
Certainly.
1-2 on Rajai. And there's that pitch in the dirt, but blocked beautifully by Flores.
Everybody in the infield, it's a little bit more pressure when you've got a runner at third base and 2 outs. Ball in the dirt can get away, it could cost you a run. If you boot a ball on a ground ball, it'll cost you a run. So no problem getting to third base like Escobar did.
Rajai checks his swing. Now they appeal. And once you appeal late, you almost always will not see the strike called. I don't think Rajai went anyway. But that late appeal very seldom results in a swing. Stammen from the stretch and got him swinging, and again the breaking ball in the dirt. And Rajai just jogs on down the line. So the Blue Jays fail to score in the 7th inning, leave Escobar at third base as they trail it 5-2.
Label list.
This Phillies the only team in the National League East to be playing under 500 baseball, and Cliff Lee 0-3 on his season. So wow, just phenomenal numbers and not a bad ERA.
Yeah, just over 3. Still hasn't won. He'll be matched up against Ricky on Saturday, and then Sunday Kyle Kendrick with a 2-5 record takes the mound. Blue Jays still haven't announced who they will throw in that game. That was the Brandon Morrow slot. Now they can move everybody back with the off day tomorrow, so we'll see.
Aaron Laffey doing a nice job. Came on with 1 out in the 5th inning. Got a couple of quick outs. He's allowed 1 run over 2 2/3 innings. A home run to Tyler Moore. Nobody's been able to get him out here this afternoon as Mike Moore stands in, has a big rip. He's 1 for 3 on the day. I don't know if these Nats find a way to get Mike Moore in the lineup every day and slam him like he did with the 31 home runs a year ago, and maybe find a way to get Tyler Moore to swing the bat the way he has today. They become a big offensive club as well as a team that pitches at the top of the heap.
And eventually, I believe in another month or so, they'll get Jason Worth back.
Little jam shot pop-up that's going to drop untouched on the right side.
Jason Worth broke his wrist the first week of May, and he's missed 32 games. A big free agent signing a couple of years ago, so there's another bat for you for this team.
So where does Jason Worth fit in right now with this outfield of the Washington Nationals? Where do you think you go? Does Harper go to center field? Wow, that sound you don't hear is the mulling of Pat Tambler.
No, it's the smoke coming out of my ears trying to figure out. It's a great problem to have, I think.
Pitch is grounded left side, and a tough play for Laurie, throwing on the run instead of planting the feed, and Edwin Encarnacion picks him up on the other end. Now Brett Laurie likely had a chance to plant his feet here and make a good sound throw, but instead opts to throw it on the run as he does so many times.
Know the runner.
Yeah, no, the runner is right.
Like Mike Morris doesn't run that well.
Right there, plant the feet, but Brett Laurie is so athletic. I think this is what feels right to him. Now does he get rid of the ball quickly?
Good play by Edwin to recognize that ball is going to take him up the line and make the play.
What a difference from Edwin. Once last year he moved from third base to first, mostly as a DH, got the bat going, and I think that's probably more than anything what loosened things up for Edwin.
I think that really affected him, not hitting a home run all the way until the end of May last year.
I thought also as fans were booing him, he was playing third base and having a rough time. I felt like it just kind of crumbled his entire game.
Sure it can do that.
This ball is hit deep to left field. There is no chance Rajay has a play. Only some fan in the second tank. Another home run for the Nationals, 3rd on the afternoon. And for Ian Desmond, it's his 9th of the season. Makes it a 6-2 Nats lead.
Down the line and left field, and on a line by Ian Desmond. It's a team that doesn't hit a lot of home runs. They're 12th in the National League in run score. This is number 9 on the season for Desmond, and just the 61st on the season for the team.
The Nationals are having some fun. The Blue Jays have John Farrell at the mound, removing Aaron Laffey, as Francisco Cordova will come on in. New pitcher for the Blue Jays. No rich Corinthian leather here. It is for Francisco Cordero who comes in out of that bullpen in left field. And he'll work it with one out to the second baseman, Danny Espinosa.
Cordero has worked the first game in this series, pitching in a couple of hits, an earned run, and a strikeout. There are his numbers through 29 games this year. Cordero trying to right the ship this season. He leads the club with those 29 appearances this season.
Danny Espinosa 1 for 3 on the day. The 2 times the Blue Jays have gotten him, it's taken a couple of very nice plays, one by Encarnacion, one by Brett Laurie. In between, he singled and scored one of the 2 runs in the 4th inning for the Nats. Blue Jays 2 runs coming in one frame. That was the 3rd RBI ground out by Brett Laurie after Rajai Davis had tripled to start things. And out later, Jose Bautista hit his 19th, and that has been it. Nationals with home runs, 3 of them, 2 from Tyler Moore, the first baseman, and 1 now from Ian Desmond. Cordero with a 2-1 count.
So they get the job done offensively. The Washington National. Batting average, they're 13th in the National League. Runs scored, they're 12th. I misspoke. I said 61 home runs. That home run by Desmond gave him 62 now as a team, which is 6th most in the National League. So they've got some power. They've got some speed. And I think plenty offensively to go along with that good defense and good pitching.
Cordero walks his first man. We mentioned the 2 home runs by Tyler Moore. He's 3 for 3 on the day. A double mixed in. 10 total bases. There's his first major league home run. He's just a rookie.
To the left center field, looked like a front door cutter, and then a breaking ball out away from him, and the ball just kept going and kept carrying to center field into the first row in dead center field. 62 home runs over the last 2 seasons in the minor leagues.
Despite what it's looked like here in the series, the Washington Nationals, among the 30 major league teams, 24th in runs scored as they start play today. Where do the Blue Jays stand? 5th. Right behind Texas, Boston, St. Louis, and Colorado. So the Blue Jays, surprisingly, maybe to a lot of folks, have been one of the better run scoring units.
What does that tell you about how to win? Pitching and defense. They've got enough hitting, I think, the Nationals. With all the injuries that they've had also.
But again, as we talk here this afternoon, you get to see what Tyler Moore is capable of doing. You already know what Mike Morse is capable of doing. You get these guys somehow in that lineup, and I don't know that there is a way. But with the runner going, the pitch is popped up on the left side. Escobar going out, glasses gleaming in that bright sunshine, and now Rajai Davis calls him off at the last moment and has to make that catch off to the side. And for, I think, most of us, if you've got an infielder planted under it, that's better than an outfielder charging at the last moment and having to reach out.
Escobar calling off the outfielder, but he's got to give ground. Once he hears that outfielder call him off, he's got to get out of the way and let him know.
Ball handled by Davis, but sure didn't look like that sure thing. Six-2 Nationals here in the 8th. Kyle Drabek got the start against Steven Strasburg. Drabek had to come out early due to some injury that we have not yet found out any more about. Cordero having a tough time with the strike zone. Rick Ankiel standing in, 1 for 3. Had a 4th inning single. And now Cordero, with the Nats leading it by 4 here in the 8th inning, has his attention on Danny Espinosa. And another throw. 37-year-old right-hander. Pitches line and a leaping grab at second base by Kelly Johnson. That'll do it for the Nats in the 8th inning. A run on a hit, the home run by Ian Desmond, his 9th of the year. And now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Jose Cruz Jr. in the BlackBerry broadcast studio. Sportsnet's live coverage of the Toronto Blue Jays. Watch the action live all season from your smartphone. Download the Rogers Live app from your app store. And the fans enjoying the bright sunshine here at the Rogers Center. Want to see the Blue Jays bats get it together. They have the top of the order here in the 8th inning as they trail it 6-2. A lot of kids on hand. And it's been just a terrific day. A lot of noise here at the ballpark. Great time had by all. Laurie 1 for 3 with an RBI. Hitting .280. Has never had that real hot streak yet. And still hitting .280. He's been consistently good with the bat.
Yeah, he has mixed in his hits. And when you talk about hot streaks, the real hot streaks, that's where you're going to get multiple hit games, 4 or 5 of them in a week, a 3-hit game thrown in there, and that's when the average really takes off.
Greg Stammen's curveball grounded to shortstop. Making the play easily is Ian Desmond, out number 1 here in the 8th inning.
But it'll be there. We saw it with Colby Rasmus earlier this year. He was hitting in the 100s and then got a nice hot streak going, and now that average is starting to creep up into the 250 range. And keep going up from there.
Colby Rasmus with his 9 long balls on the year, 29 RBIs. That home run ability of Colby Rasmus turns him into a special player when you talk about center fielders who can go get it. Drives one in the air to left center field. This is going to gap perfectly. One hop up and over the wall. It's a ground rule double with 1 out for Colby Rasmus.
Doesn't have to pull everything to get extra base hits. Stays right with that one, and the whole key, stay on top of it. Don't dip that shoulder. Keep the barrel of the bat over the ball. Create backspin just like that. And that ball just kept going to left field for extra bases.
Well, Colby Rasmus is 13th two-bagger. He's at second for Jose Bautista, who has already homered on today's game. That number 19 in the 3rd inning. He's also drawn a walk. 1 for 2. Hitting .237. But the other numbers tell the story. The 19 home runs, 47 RBIs. And he is gaining ground on the leaders.
You can always tell when Jose Bautista is ready to go into one of those home run periods. He takes pitches where he's back on that back leg, really loading up.
Yeah, you don't see that front side come flying open. He's much more quiet at the plate, even with the high leg kick.
And that's where it becomes a timing issue.
There was a perfect example, that curveball. The face and shoulders and hips didn't come spinning toward third base. Instead, he was contained at home plate.
And the weight was still back.
Exactly.
Back on the back leg. Tells you everything you want to know about a hitter who's in a hot streak. He's seen the baseball.
When Jose came back from the All-Star game last year, my eyes started to see him spinning open. Right now, I'm starting to see him keep it closed at the plate. And when he does that, he will tear it up. Huge swing and a miss.
He's thinking about having a multi-home run game right there on that hanging breaking ball.
Boy, if anybody should have the right to pull a ribcage muscle.
It's so quick when it comes through that strike zone. That's where he generates all his power.
Curveball bends right through there. Jose simply got caught looking, but you could still see he was in a good position. Now time for the smart play of the game, brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Please enjoy responsibly.
All good hitters have a game plan where they go to the plate. His second at bat, Jose Bautista, is going to take a look at a couple of pitches. Curveball? No, that's not what I wanted. On top of the plate, curveball again. And now, okay, if you come in there, I'm going to be ready for you. It looked like a changeup that was in middle in. And Jose Bautista launches the ball into left field for his 19th home run. That's how you do it.
That is a very valuable player. We've seen the defense in the series. Terrific throws, using the glove, home runs. He's getting it together, folks. Edwin trying to heat it back up, 0 for 3 on the day. What a difference if the Blue Jays can get Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion swinging the big bats at the same time.
At the same time. That's right. Encarnacion has been hot all season long. Jose is starting to heat up himself. And when you've got your 3 and 4 hitters hitting extra base hits, going long, the home run, you're going to score a lot of runs.
Edwin 1 for 11 here in the series. Now Flores has done a nice job behind the plate. Catcher doesn't get a lot of credit for pitches like this in the dirt. Turning himself into a wall, getting dirty.
Blocked everything in sight the whole series. He's been in there.
The one hit for Edwin here in this series against the Nationals, a double in the opener. The curveball is the main Stammen pitch. Flores goes out to remind him, I like it better when you throw it all the way to me in the air.
Well, he'll bury it again in the dirt to try and get those hitters to chase it. That is by design right there. But Encarnacion has had good at-bats all season long. Very rarely has he chased that pitch in the dirt.
It's been a different Edwin Encarnacion, able to lay off tough pitches.
Yep, he has spent a lot of time in the video room. He has learned to watch the opposing pitcher, thanks to Jose Bautista, what to look for in certain situations, stay together.
Kind of a smaller breaking ball, little side to side, kind of a slider like action.
He's got that too.
When you're a major league hitter, you've got those thoughts running through your head. Always fastball is kind of where you gauge how you handle all the other pitches. Now these Nats can flat pitch.
And when you don't see a guy like the Blue Jays in this interleague. It makes it even tougher.
Blue Jays start the day 3-5 on the season in interleague play. This is the midway point following today's game. 18 overall interleague games for the Blue Jays. And unless they rally and find a way to come back at that midway point, they'll be 3-6. And if they lose today's ball game, the Blue Jays for the first time all season fall below 500. Great shot between pitcher and catcher. Have to be able to handle that fastball and adjust to the other pitches.
What an at bat right here from Encarnacion. He has seen everything that Craig Stammen has to offer.
There were times over the past couple of seasons where it might have been easy for the Blue Jays to cut ties with Edwin. But I think the patience has certainly paid off in big ways now for the club. Grounds one foul outside the bag at third.
Hey, anytime a guy has got the ability to hit home runs, I think you got to wait him out.
Yeah.
This is a player, Encarnacion, who was sent down a couple of years ago, and anybody could have had him for $20,000. But the Blue Jays have stayed with him. He's had a great work ethic. He has had a great attitude.
Well, I think National League clubs at the time had to feel like, can we use this guy even if he starts swinging the bat well if he can't play defensively?
And again, anytime a guy can hit the home run like Edwin can, you don't give up on him.
What an at bat for Encarnacion as he draws the 2-out walk. And now can David Cooper get things going once again? It's been a while for David. Blue Jays went to Atlanta playing National League rules, and Jays wanted to get Edwin back in the lineup, so he went to first base. Cooper sat. Cooper had been red hot to that point. He had 4 hits make that 5 hits in the 3-game series in Chicago, and since then he has not had a hit. There's a strike at the bottom of the knees. With today's game, 5 consecutive games now without a hit for David Cooper. One of those games, just a pinch hit opportunity in Atlanta. But you sit down a hot hitter and sometimes he finds a way to not be hot anymore. Another strike and 2 pitches that you would have to say at best right on the edge of the strike zone.
Good time right here to pick up that hit. A .321 hitter here at home. Looking for a gap ball right here.
It's just a piece and stays alive. Those times are tough as a major league hitter. You're swinging it red hot, and then for whatever reason you have to come out of the lineup. And you sit for a few days. Can you maintain that hot streak?
Yeah, good hitters do. They get out there and get a little bit more consistent playing time and consistent at bats, and they'll be fine.
Cooper has the batting average now at .286. He was at .364 coming out of Chicago. In fact, .366 was the high mark. After game 2, he went 3 for 4 against the White Sox. A pretty good slide for David. Got him swinging. Out in front, Cooper down on strikes. And the second time on the afternoon. So the Blue Jays failed to score in the 8th inning despite a double and a walk. To the 9th we go, down by 4. By Baseball Canada and Little League Canada. It's at Halifax, Nova Scotia, August 5th through the 7th at Mainland's Common Field. Instructors include, and this is a nice field here, Jose Cruz, Jason Dixon, Sandy Alomar Sr., Jesse Barfield, and Dwayne Ward. That is quite a lineup. Visit bluejays.com/baseball academy. The Toronto Blue Jays are proud supporters of amateur baseball across Canada. 6-2 Washington on top. Casey Janssen comes on for the 9th inning. Janssen, pitcher number 4 for the Blue Jays.
With the off day tomorrow, we've got to get Casey Janssen some work here. 22 games this year. His last save came on May the 30th when he saved Brandon Morrow's 6th win of the season. They just haven't had those opportunities. So Janssen's got to get some work before the off day tomorrow. Sometimes as a closer, you might go a couple of weeks without a save opportunity.
It's a great gig when things are going well. And sometimes you can even get overused. But then those tough times when the team just doesn't get in a position to win a ball game.
That was his last save opportunity on May the 30th. So his last couple of outings have just been outings to get some work. He finished up the series in Atlanta by getting an inning against the Braves, non-save situation, an inning, a hit, and a strikeout. Tough on managers when to use your closer when he's not getting that regular work.
Fly ball to center, easy for Rasmus for out number 1. Back to the top with Steve Lombardozzi. Nationals left fielder having a long day, 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. Talked about hitters trying to stay hot when they don't play. I think it's very much the same for a closer or anybody in the bullpen who doesn't pitch for an extended period.
That's why you got to get some work, even though it's not a save situation. Perfect timing just in front of an off day. And then if you need them on Friday.
What's the toughest thing for a manager to do?
I think use his pitching staff. To be able to juggle the staff, who's finished on a certain day, who to bring in, who to set up, who to close out the ball game.
Always watching and seeing how many days it's been since so and so pitched, who's hot.
That's why you always see him sitting next to the bench coach and the pitching coach. 3 heads are better than one type of mentality to help navigate through a ball game.
Players like to talk about roles, and when they get used outside of their roles, sometimes they complain. But in this kind of a scenario, Casey Janssen understands exactly what's going on. He knows he needs the work, probably even had that conversation with either Farrell or Walton prior to the game. Ground ball to the right side, backhanded by Edwin. He'll feed Casey at the bag. That's the 2nd out of the 9th. For the Blue Jays, more interleague coming up on the schedule as the Philadelphia Phillies come to town.
And then it's off to Milwaukee and Miami to finish up the interleague portion of the schedule. Boston and then the Angels. So it doesn't get any easier. Phillies are a very dangerous team with that pitching staff. They are missing some of their big bats. And Milwaukee is still a very good team, right around 500.
Yeah, maybe the right time for the Blue Jays to see the Phillies and the Brewers.
Yeah, let's hope. The Phillies have been struggling to score runs.
A lot of thoughts going on there on that bench. They know they're not playing at their best right now, and everybody trying to figure out a way to make their own game turn it into Blue Jay success. Haven't even mentioned the name of Bryce Harper as he stands in. 1 for 4 on the day, ho hum. But man, has he had a terrific series.
Yeah, our last look at him here in the series, probably, unless the Blue Jays can come back. And I'm coming away pretty impressed.
Oh, yes. There's that little cutter on the hands. Harper probably asked the home plate umpire, was that a strike? Just trying to figure out, is he swinging at strikes or balls?
Nothing wrong with that for a player asking the home plate umpire that.
Talked about Jose Bautista keeping it kind of closed as he takes a tough pitch. Harper right there. That front side didn't even budge. It moves toward the pitcher but doesn't fly open at all. Casey Jansen paints it on the inside edge. Bryce Harper a 1 for 5 day, but the Nats lead it 6-2. As we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, Blue Jays will send Yunel Escobar, Kelly Johnson, and J.P. Arancibia to the plate. For the 9th inning, the Washington Nationals leading it 6-2, turn to a guy who has been one of the game's best closers for a long time, struggling with injuries of late, 35-year-old Brad Lidge.
Reinstated from the disabled list just on Thursday. Missed 38 games with an ab injury. He has worked scoreless relief in 5 of his 8 appearances. Look at the difference between the left-handed batters and the right-handed batters. Just a couple of at-bats, and that'll really skew those numbers for Lidge. But you're right, when he was on, one of the best closers, relievers in baseball. Still throws hard, and he's got a very good off-speed pitch.
Got a chance to see him when he was pitching in Houston, dominating major league hitters to the extent that it looked like the big kid in Little League, striking out more than 14 hitters per 9 innings, and it was almost silly at times.
And doing it with a slider.
Great fastball and that slider.
That everybody thought was a splitter. I mean, that's how hard it was.
Right over the top, diving downward. Not quite that same guy these days. And one of the really fine people you'll meet.
Did you coach him in Houston?
No, broadcasting at the time. But at one point, the Astros had Billy Wagner, Brad Lidge, and Octavio Dotel, who all were throwing in the mid-90s and plus. Billy Wagner going over 100. Lidge was up 98, 99 much of the time. and it was just insane.
They have a way, those Houston Astros, of drafting and developing relief pitchers who throw hard.
Brad Lidge out of Notre Dame. Bright guy, and just a guy you would enjoy getting a chance to meet. Escobar has the count at 2-2. Off speed. Taking a little off of that slider for the strikeout. Escobar now 1 for 4 on his day.
The 13th strikeout of the afternoon by Washington National pitching. And it's that off-speed pitch, that slider, that does the trick for Brad Lidge for the first down.
Kelly Johnson comes to the plate, 1 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Blue Jays have picked up 1 home run on the day as Jose Bautista hit his 19th in the 3rd inning. Lidge gets ahead. 3 home runs for these Washington Nationals, 2 of them the first 2 of the career of Tyler Moore, who gets a start at first base. And Ian Desmond added 1 as well. Line drive to center field. Coming on with the play is Rick Ankiel. And 2 outs quickly for Lidge here in the 9th inning.
What a year Brad Lidge had when he was a member of the Philadelphia Phillies when they won the championship. 41 saves. I don't believe he blew a save all season long. ERA under 2 at 92 strikeouts. Pretty impressive stuff.
Well, if the Nationals can get Brad Lidge healthy and kind of back close to his form of those days, they've got something very special. Aaron Sebia 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. And Aaron Sebia completely fooled on that one.
It's a late breaker. Then it goes down. It almost looks like a splitter. It's one of the better sliders in the game.
Used to throw it very hard. Fastball drilled on a hop, but what's new? Great play at first base by Moore. He'll go to the bag. And a 1-2-3 9th inning as the Blue Jays go down quietly. The Washington Nationals complete the 3-game sweep over the Toronto Blue Jays. Steven Strasburg picks up the win to improve to 8-1. Kyle Drabek takes the loss and injured in the ball game, and we have not found out anything further on him.
Yeah, that's the big story. We got a chance to watch the Nationals up close. We saw Strasburg, we saw Harper, but for the Blue Jays, the big news, how's Kyle Drabek? And we'll find that out. They're going to need him. Steven Strasburg, what an afternoon, 8 strikeouts in his 6 innings of work. It's the team, I think, the Washington Nationals, with their very good pitching staff, they're going to be there all year long.
Tomorrow's an off day for the Blue Jays, and one maybe much needed right now. The Phillies will come to town. Drew Hutchison will go to the mound Friday night against the Phils' Vance Worley. Thanks for being with us.